At the end of my hour playing Little Magic, I came to the conclusion that I had been going about it all wrong. I had made certain assumptions about how Little Magic played based on it being a fantasy-themed strategy game. I thought that the first scenario they'd want you to clear out all of the enemy forces and then take on a big boss at the castle. Your basic introductory scenario stuff. Well, Little Magic doesn't play that way. It throws you into the deep end, and if you play like I did, then you won't be able to complete later scenarios. The story of Little Magic is that there were two kingdoms, Sunosar and Moon Oinu. The king of Moon Oinu died, and a sorcerer has taken over the country. The prince of Sunosar was going to marry the princess of Moon Oinu, and so the wizard has started a war so that he could kill the prince and marry the princess. At the start of any scenario, you only have the prince out, and he'll always start at the friendly castle. So the very first thing you need to do is buy additional troops. Hit the A button when not on a unit to bring up a menu, and here you can hire an army and place those troops on the map. Initially, you only have 3 varieties of soldiers, but as you might expect in a fantasy setting, you'll also get priests, magicians, and eventually you can hire monsters. You also carry over your army between scenarios, and they bring with them their experience and levels. Forces that you've recruited can't be deployed that turn, so you'll just have to move the prince and end your turn. When you want to bring out a unit, they have to come out of a summoning circle or the castle. Each unit has a certain number of movement points that are expended as they go around, and of course it costs more to go through rough terrain. If a unit doesn't move, it can use magic, and all units have some magic ability. The prince has several offensive spells and can heal units around him. The soldiers can cast spells that will attack the enemy, and the priest can heal or cast a spell to freeze a section of water so it can be crossed. Okay, now I have to get to the big thing about Little Magic. All conflicts between your forces and enemy forces are resolved in a side-scrolling one-on-one fight. That includes using magic. The A button jumps, the B button swings your weapon, and you do extra damage if you manage to get behind somebody and attack. One problem with that though, your characters are really unresponsive. If any move requires quick reflexes, like quickly turning around to strike somebody who just passed you, there's a good chance that your movement will get eaten and you just attack in the same direction. I found the combat controls to be so annoying that I wound up changing to use the auto combat, which seems to be okay. Your troops are a little bit stronger than the enemy. There's a time limit to these battles, and when that's up, it just ends. When you cast a spell at somebody, you're actually summoning a spirit to go fight them for you. And here's where the 3 varieties of soldiers come into play. There's a fire soldier, a water soldier, and a wind soldier. Fire is the average, wind is fast but weak, water is slow but strong. And of course the magic that they toss out differs. Personally, I found fire to be the most effective of the 3. Casting spells costs magic points, of course, and you can recover magic by ending a turn on a magic circle or at a church. You can recover health by ending your turn on a town or a church. The way that you win a battle in Little Magic is to take over the enemy castle or kill their general. Though in all the scenarios that I've seen, the enemy general sits in the castle. And this was my fatal mistake in Scenario 1. The enemy is given significantly more troops than you. They have access to a church for full healing, and it generally takes 2 or 3 attacks to defeat an enemy. You will not be able to destroy all of the enemy forces. Instead, you have to take advantage of the terrain, splitting off into 2 groups, and having one group just assassinate the leader. They're just a standard enemy soldier, not even leveled up, so it's perfectly possible for a group of 3 or 4 to just rush over and take them out. I found this after I bashed a hole in the line, and then sent the prince over to fight them. That was totally unnecessary, and I lost 3 or 4 units doing this. And since units carry over, that meant I was significantly weaker in the next scenario. If you don't want to play the story mode, there's a 2-player versus mode, and an action mode where you can practice the side view combats. I'm not going to say Little Magic was popular, but it definitely seems to have picked up a cult following in Japan. Though I do have to sort those fans out from fans of Little Magic, the Super Famicom puzzle game that has no relation to it. The fans of Little Magic seem to like the mix of action and strategy. Myself? Well, it's really hard to judge this one. It's always hard to judge the games that I didn't really get into before when I'm only playing for an hour to record footage. The problem with having to do a daily show, I guess. Little Magic is making me wonder if there's more to it than I'm seeing. At least the first scenario seemed to be trickier than most introductions. But I really wasn't enjoying that combat. It was just annoying to play. You can see the concepts that would eventually gel into Street Fighter II showing up here, as they were in several other places, but the one-on-one fighting action just isn't good yet. Without that hook, it really limits Little Magic's appeal.